Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Academy Futurae. Say hi, everyone.
Hi,
Hello.
everyone.
Hi, everyone.
Hello!
We missed you.
Yeah.
Alright, well, where we last left off, the party seeking entrance into the Moment Watcher's village to finally talk with Neria after so long, they participated in a trial that is intended for fledgling Moment Watchers to basically be fully initiated into proper society in general. Coming of age, so to speak. And that coming of age is essentially seeing the absolute worst of themselves in the worst possible timeline that they could end up in. And to come in, the chiefess, Chidinma, has had you all participate in this trial, which every single one of you got to look into that. Won't go into all the details, but the highlights include Crudez going full-on self-destructive nihilist, Traylon murdering his parents, Nimbus, who I originally just, in my mind, just made him the Joker, but ended up making him seem like a cult leader, which is actually better. Francesco going full Don Quixote, and Pisacha going full feral monster, which he was very much shaken up about. And at the end of it all, you all basically got to fight these corrupted versions of yourself, so to speak. Until Crudez ended up getting a vision from his mother, and a temporary power boost in the process, which helped you all finish the job. And when the trial was over, Chief Tsujima basically admitted that while this was a trial for you all to enter, it was also a trial to stroke Chijima's curiosity about something, and it turns out she was right. It turns out Crudez is ethnically a Moment Watcher, which also reveals that his dead mother, Cruda, was also a Moment Watcher, and based on what the chiefess said, has had some history with her. And has essentially invited Crudez to talk with her later, when he gets the chance, or whenever he wants to come. And then after, once he... Yes?
And Crudez, his father, Romaine, was very good at making salad.
God, no. Why?
So doesn't make
Being all random right
Crudez a
now.
crouton?
No.
That's not the joke. Also, his
And
dad's
it
name
is.
is Gomez, by the way. For those joining in late.
And and then afterwards, with the striking realization to Ridio that, oh my god, this is Crudez's son. I had no idea she had a son. I have no idea about her, but Neria and myself and the rest of us all practically worship the ground she walked on. And decided to bring you all to the scrying pools, which is something that the village used to keep tabs on the rest of the world, because even though they are isolationists, they make sure to keep themselves informed about what's going on, and they gave you all peeks as to how everything is going at home, and it's all going pretty well. Except Pisacha, because he voluntarily refused. And... what?
How are the Mets doing, though?
They lost.
Damn!
And honestly, that's where we left off. Once again, I made this warning to you guys before, but I'm gonna let the audience know. Writing notes was hell for this week. I really, really did not want to write them. And so the majority of this, with very key exceptions, will be mostly improv. And so with that said, what do you guys wish to do?
Francisco would like to see who's the biggest, toughest person in this whole town and see if he can ogle them for their techniques.
Nice
Other
choice of
techniques,
words.
huh?
Yeah, nice choice of words. While I'm getting that all settled, what about everybody else?
I'm taking my pet dragon to bed. He needs TLC.
So you're gonna comfort Pisacha.
Yes.
I already know what Traylon is going to do, but for the sake of this, what does you have in mind?
Wait, say again?
I already know what Traylon wants to do, but for the sake of the audience, what would you like to do, Traylon?
Uh-oh, did we lose him?
Did we?
Oh, no, I'm here.
don't know.
Sorry.
Okay.
Alright. So, I already know what Traylon is going to do, but for the purposes of the audience, Traylon, what would you like to do?
Traylon wants to see what he can... Well, for one, he wants to see if he can maybe take a sample of the scrying pool. Figure out, perhaps, finding something useful. If not, looking for materials that he can either take or potentially steal. Because fuck these people in general.
Alright. Well, I can already tell you, the magic of the scrying pools is not located in the waters. I can say that for a fact.
It's just
So
water.
if you were to, like, take some of the water, then it's just water.
Weak.
I'm sorry, Mr. Inventory full of monster parts that are rotting.
Yeah, it's what you get for being a thief.
I am not a thief.
I don't think he
I am
hasn't
a-
stolen anything.
I have not
I'm
stolen
not-
shit.
I'm
Yeah.
not a thief, I'm a treasure hunter. Big difference.
Yes.
Come out swinging with the FF6 references.
Well, in the meantime, Radio will inform you all that, Neria will basically be waking up in about a few hours, about pretty much like when the sunset would start to go down, so I will give you the option whether to get that sort of stuff in now or after that.
I think maybe after that, because I think Crudez will probably want to speak to the chiefess, and then maybe just like taking the sights after that. Provided Nim doesn't insist upon like putting Crudez to bed after all that, teehee. But I mean,
Oh,
at
I
which,
do.
but I mean, at which case, like, Chidimma can probably come to see him instead. Teehee.
Alright, what about everybody else?
Big strong warrior.
I was gonna say, at this point, I think the only person left is like Nim, maybe.
What do you mean?
The only person who has not indicated what they would like to do, like,
He just said.
Yeah. Oh. Okay, then who does that leave? Because we know what
Nobody.
Traylon wants to do, and why are we asking what it's?
I'm asking you whether you want to go see Neria now or later.
I guess later.
Crudez wants to see Chidinma, I will say that much.
I'm saying, like, do you want to do your roleplay stuff before or after?
After Neria.
Okay. Now for everybody else. What would you like to do with that?
Probably before, because Traylon gets the feeling that shit'll hit the fan real fast once we get the exposition dump, so...
Alright, and everybody else?
Yeah, sure, after.
And Nimbus?
Oh heck. Your mic is muted, my dude.
Chris, you're muted.
I've changed mine to before.
All right.
Just because Gray raised a good point.
All right. Well, whatever. We'll
In that
just
case.
do our stuff for now as we wait for Chris.
Yeah.
All right. In that case, I will ask everybody to just sort of do an RP initiative then.
Do we just roll a d20 or actual initiative?
Yeah, just a d20.
Natural 20.
Well, that is a natural 20, so yeah.
A nat 1!
How thematically appropriate, I guess.
Okay, I'm fine with that.
And the others?
Others?
And the others?
Yes, like, you know,
Wyatt.
and Junk.
Yes.
We're rolling
Well-
RP initiative. Please. Please.
Okay. Just a flat 20.
Just a
Yes.
flat 20.
Oh,
Thank you.
a flat 20. Okay. That,
I mean, you still rolled a 1, so it's not a big
yeah, that doesn't matter anyway, so yeah.
deal. And I think
And
Chris is
now
still
Chris.
missing.
I'll just
Drop
say for now, we'll ignore him for later. So in that case, we'll go to
Just-
Traylon.
Alrighty.
So, remind me, you... Okay, just very clearly, what is it you were trying to do?
This place is apparently big, has holding a lot of secrets. Traylon wants to figure out, is there anything useful that he can either take or start building with? And if there's nothing useful there, he'll start working on maybe expanding his inventory with actual different types of arrows. Or at the very least, look for like a blacksmith or something like, hey, can I use your shop since I'm waiting for what's-her-face to wake the fuck up?
So, all in all, basically, shopping?
Essentially.
Alright. Okay. So, are you looking for materials, or, like, I know you mentioned materials, but anything you're looking for in particular? Like metals, scrolls, whatever it is.
So, in priority levels, magic items, magic scrolls, materials that would be useful for rare arrows. If nothing else, he wants a place to start working on his own shit.
Okay. We can do
Alright.
intermission stuff, yeah.
Cool. So everyone, Gray's here, Wyatt's here, Chris is here.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So I guess to pick up where we left off with Traylon. So you were gonna go wandering around in search of something cool, yes?
Pretty much.
Alright. Roll a perception for me then.
Rolling my shitty perception, even though it's better.
With those glasses.
You've
you
got
bought, yeah.
glasses, you're fine.
But 6!
Oh,
I rolled a 2!
At this point, it's just luck rather than stats.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a big place, and despite your big personality, you are still small. So it takes a while to like get anywhere if you see something cool, because all the long legs walk past you and distract you from other cool things. But I'd say wandering around a little bit, you do find yourself at the top of one of these like taller ziggurat type buildings. And you notice at the top is what looks kind of like a weather vane, or like like weather reading technology, and people taking notes on it.
I'd like to imagine that Traylon sees technology, and as everyone's just taking notes, he just pops out of like the stonework on the floor. It's like, what you doing there?
He does. He like explodes from under the floor upwards, almost like Kool-Aid Man.
Oh yeah!
I mean, most of them try to ignore you, but your interest in whatever the hell they're doing does get one to acquiesce. And he explains that... Well, actually, no, she explains. You notice that a lot of them are women, or just young girls, that they are trying to more or less perfect their predictions. Trying to tell what the weather will be like, not just from magic, but also by trying to actually read atmospheric pressures and things like that. And now they're seeing if they're right or not.
So in other words, you're practicing divination.
Yes, this and that doesn't have to be inherently magical. Not everyone here is a seer, but we are very focused in the future. Yes.
Could I roll an intelligence or tinkerer's tools to tell how accurate this weather vane is?
Sure, go ahead.
So, tinker tools?
Yeah. 12. Alright. I mean, it's a pretty basic weather vane. I mean, nothing like super high tech like Iron Dome would have to like read like literally things like the humidity in the air and things like that. This one generally deals more with like wind direction, speed, temperatures, and things like that. But I mean, for a
rudimentary mundane.
For a village in the wild lands of the world, it's pretty complex.
I could probably make this better.
No, please don't.
But yeah, one of the wonder makers that Traylon can make is a weather detector.
Oh, nice.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Nice.
Alright,
So you can whip one up for yourself instead of improving theirs.
Yeah. So Traylon is going to take the scrap that he has and start making his own weather sensor.
So everyone just watches as the small gnome whips out this bag and like a mountain of like all sorts of random crap come out as he just starts going to town putting this together. Not a word is spoken.
But I'd say once you finish your weather sensor and switch it on and it does its little thing. Actually, what do you think it would? Can you describe what it would look like?
It's going to look... It's very compact, but effectively it's going to basically use the some of the monster materials that he already has on hand. One of the Hypno Gems, as well as using one of the giant red moth feathers that he had taken as effectively the humidifier and like wind direction and whatnot. It's effectively just an arrow that has a few things glued to it, but he's able to read it via certain like colors that are shown up on the gem itself. The gem is like basically the iPad version of this.
Now make sure you actually remove those from her inventory.
But I'd say after you do this and you actually compare notes with the readings, about half of the girls actually got the prediction right, and the ones that were wrong were in the right ballpark, but they either aimed too high or too low for the temperature and wind speed and stuff like that. But they are impressed with your technical prowess. So you can gloat with that if you want. But if there was nothing else, we can swap to someone else.
Yeah, go ahead.
Alright. Let's
Alright.
go to Wyatt. You wanted to find a big burly person to study their technique and everything, right?
The toughest person in town.
Roll an investigation then.
Alright, with my seeing eyes.
Monsieur seeing I see. Yeah.
Why does it ask me for a public or whisper roll? What the...
18, nice.
Ooh.
I looked
So-
very close to the ground.
So, using your knowledge of how villages in the Wild Legion work, even though this one technically isn't allied with the Legion yet, maybe, you're looking around trying to find a big, burly orc man or barbarian type guy wearing nothing but fur pelts with his bare chest exposed to the sun and elements.
Or her bare chest exposed to the elements.
But you don't find any men with that.
Ah.
And actually, as you do wander around, you notice that anyone that seems to be in a position of importance is a woman. So the main seers and things that are around the town, the city, the guards women are women, which is kind of like the Valkyries back at the academy. But there aren't really many men out and about. And, the few that you spot are all indoors and seem to be more or less like the homekeepers.
Huh. That's very confusing. I say this in front of one of the female guards. But that's strange. Where's the man that taught all you women to be so strong then?
Oh boy.
They laugh at you.
I expected somebody to slap him in the face after that.
They're like, get a load of this guy.
What a bunch of jokers.
Get a load of this man.
Get a load of this man. Get a load of this.
But they do explain that the Moment Watcher tribe is matriarchal. The women have higher status, quote unquote, over the men. Not that they mistreat their men, but more like only women are the ones who get the power of a seer, the only ones that can practice magics and see into the future. Yeah, so they answer that the guards captain woman before them taught them how to fight.
Oh, good. Where might she be, if I may be so bold to inquire?
They both look at each other and they're kind of a little sullen, and they look up towards a hill, and following their gaze, you find it's a hill full of a bunch of grave markers.
Ah, she's keeping a watchful eye over her fallen comrades, I see.
One of them does kind of chuckle at that.
Following their gaze. Lesbians leading the way.
But they do suggest you not say something like that again in front of some of the other women, because they might not take it as funny as these two did.
Yes, jokes. I'll be sure to make note when I have one.
But is there anything else you wanted to maybe look for?
Well, I mean, I am always shopping about for some magic cufflinks. Something I can restrain my opponent with and bring them to justice! Sorry,
So-
get a little enthused sometimes.
Did you say that out loud near them?
Yes, of course!
Well,
If you have something you need to say, it should be as loud as possible so all may know your intentions.
one of them rubs your ear because her ear because you're so loud. But they do point you in the direction of like the crafting area. Maybe someone there could help you.
The crafting area.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The arts and crafts sections might have something.
I mean,
So, would you like to go to the arts and craft department?
Googly eyes and glitter glue.
And yet it all somehow works.
Hey, if MacGyver could do it.
I mean,
Yes, so you want to go over there?
Yes, of course, madam. I thank you and leap towards my destiny. As always.
Cool. So you prance your way to where the market and the crafting areas are, and you find a lot of men doing a lot of crafting here.
oh.
They're all weaving on giant looms and braiding things together. No, they don't really take notice of you at first, but eventually one does ask if you need something.
Thank you, my good man. Your kindness knows no bounds. Indeed, I do. You wouldn't, by chance, happen to have any magic cufflinks or some sort of restraining element?
He blinks and then thinks for a moment. He's like, nothing magical. That would be something that the seers would need to do for you. But if you're just looking for something to restrain someone, and he goes over and like digs through a small chest, and he pulls out some rope, and it's actually woven with a bunch of various colorful threads. And he hands it to you, and you test it, and you like pull it out to like test the strength of it. And it's actually very, very sturdy rope.
Oh.
So in D&D, there's typically like hemp rope and silk rope. This one is like a stronger version of hemp rope.
Oh, nice. Let's hope it doesn't catch fire.
He offers to sell you this for about 2 gold.
Wondrous. Hemp rope from the enchanted village as yours, woven by the manliest men in town? How could I say no to such a deal?
You're like, oh shucks, if you call him the manliest man. Even though he's like not as large as like the orc guy behind him, who's like doing needlework.
Yeah.
So, would you buy the rope?
Yes.
Cool. I will say, because it is more like compact and dense, it's only 20 feet of rope.
Oh, okay. I'll make a
So
note of
pretty much
that.
like 20 feet of strong hemp rope.
20 feet. Oh, that's too many E's.
Eat.
Man, I've been watching One Piece. They make the weirdest noises. Exactly.
Okay. Do you continue chatting with the menfolk?
Yes, and if anything, I try to see. I mean, if they're crafting, they're the manliest men in town, according to him. Then there must be something to gain here. Like maybe.
The words
Somebody needs to
arts and
slap this
crafts
fish.
echoes through the distance, and Traylin's ears burn.
Arts and crafts.
So you want to stay with the men and try your hand at some crafting?
You betcha. How could I say no at these opportunities that are abound?
Alright, I'd say then we'll move to someone else, but to do this, I guess roll. Roll what would you roll to like craft something?
Well, you would need tools, and the tools, it would basically be like your
tools would
proficiency, if they exist, plus the corresponding stat. But since he doesn't really have proficiency in any of those, it would be just a flat d20 since his intelligence is a 0.
Well, they have the tools here, so you at least probably get like a bonus. So is it intelligence for crafting, you think?
For most of the crafting.
I mean, yeah.
I'd say, like,
the general rule of thumb,
dex-
people have used like sleight of hand for
Yeah.
tools, but it's like not really. It's gonna be your rules essentially.
Alright, I'll say.
Probably
Alright.
just like a vague dex check.
I'll let you choose, Wyatt. You can either roll an intelligence check, just a straight intelligence check, or a sleight of hand to like work this loom and try and weave something.
I'll do sleight of hand and try to do my crafts near the person with the most flair to the stuff they're making.
Alright, cool.
'Cause that's how
Go
you know
ahead.
it's good shit.
Go ahead.
Sleight of hand. I've been around my grandma. I know what's up.
Whoa.
Not too
Very
bad.
nice.
But it takes you a moment to get started, I'll say that much. You take a seat beside one guy. He's a Aarakocra, the bird people. And he's like going to town weaving with a really bright and colorful tapestry that seems to depict another equally bright bird, like a parrot or a macaw on his design. And you follow suit, probably making like a very colorful fish to mimic his. And you pick it up pretty well. It takes you a moment, you kind of just like watch his hands, see how he does it. And while you can't go nearly as fast as him, you do kind of get into the groove of it. And soon enough, you have not a very big square, but like a little doily of a fish weave together yourself. What
Yeah.
color is it?
I don't want to say blue, but
Bit blue.
you know what? It's gonna be red. It's gonna be a red fish because he has a cape and it just goes nice with gold.
All right. You can add a red fish weaving into your inventory.
Yeah.
So, and I guess until such a time you are summoned to the main course here, you stay with the menfolk and chat it up with them, and they do seem to enjoy your presence.
Just guys being dudes.
Yeah. Just
Just
guys being
men-
good.
What could
Men
be better
becoming
than this?
wolves.
What could be better than this? Just guys in loincloths sucking dick. I mean, what?
Yeah, everyone's in like loincloths, like fur pants, things like that, and Francesco's in like full plate armor, clanking around everywhere.
Yes.
It's like Steiner from
I was
FF9.
gonna say, he's like
Like,
Steiner.
making noise every time he moves. But leaving you there, we will jump to Nimbus.
Hey.
So you wanted to try and comfort Pisacha after what happened, yes?
Yeah, you can tell he's such still very shaken.
Yeah. So let's say roll an investigation to try and find out where he went to.
When did I? I have to find my boy.
You do have to find your boy. And you found your
17.
boy with a 17. You find Pisacha kind of pathetically laying on his side near one of the canals that runs through the city, kind of just like gently tracing a finger on the surface of the water.
Oh my goodness. If I walk over, do
What?
I hear him go a little bit of, "Who?"
No, he is actually just silent, gazing at the water, really.
I know it's not in character. I was making a joke.
I know, but yeah, that is. He's just looking at the water.
I'll go over. I'll sit down next to him.
He doesn't reply, but he doesn't, like, shoo you away.
You can't hide it from me, you know. I can tell you're not okay.
I'm not hiding anything.
You want to talk about it? I'm here. I won't think you're any lesser of a man for being vulnerable with me.
He just lets out a deep sigh. You know, my entire life I've been fighting a one-man army against all of Drax, so to speak. Everybody else denounces my grandfather and the rest of my family name.
In the
The one
distance,
Yeah?
you hear Traylon shout, "Attack and dethrone God!"
What?
Attack and dethrone God.
One more god rejected. I'm not Nocturne is really good. But anyway, uh, so, God, now I have something to show you later. But anyway, yeah, send for the man. But yeah, so Versace will continue and will say, the one I've been warring against the most is actually my father. The Blues are warriors at heart, and he is nothing like any of that. He's a diplomat. He's soft. But most importantly, he's the one out of every who is more than willing to drag my grandfather's name through the mud. And I was content to keep on doing this, because one day I would be king. But he just looks at the water again. Was I just wasting my time?
I don't think so. Here's what I think. You are a very different man, and your father was a very different man. I think your father was trying to do what he could to make amends with the other colors, despite what happened. I've heard many stories, and seen many of them portrayed where if you keep on going and expecting someone to conflict with you, you end up starting conflict, and it ends up kind of repeating itself. I think your father knew that. I think he wanted to escape what could have been a cycle, and he possibly wanted to make it so that you could have friends.
He gives you a look and just sort of like darkly chuckles to himself, and he goes, if this was any other time, I would have just told you I didn't care. Because I was not going to just demonize my grandfather, my family name. But if somewhere deep inside of me is something worse, then maybe they were just right all along.
That is for no one to decide but you. What you saw there, that is much, much worse than what you or anybody else could have been. And like I said back there, it doesn't have to be you. In fact, I think right now, showing how human you are, sharing your emotions with me, I think you're the furthest away from that beast than you could possibly be. Oh, you know I don't mind if you get a little bestial from time to time. And if you ever do something to take things a little too far, I'll be there to rein you in. Sound good?
He just lets out a sigh, and he'll say, everything I've done in my life, I've done with the intent of keeping the spirits of the Blues alive, to follow the teachings of Barak and the rest of his aspects before him. But yes,
Is that all you think blue dragons are?
it is
A
our
paw print?
essence. It
Paw
is.
prints in the sands of history?
He will say, our savagery fulfills a role in the circle of life. As much as fuck, I can't believe I'm even saying this, but as much as I hate the coppers, and I still do, there And he just grits his teeth and goes, "Merriment and trickery is part of the 10 heads."
Oh, Pisacha. You cannot hold somebody accountable for something their forefathers did. They are not those people. And you are not your grandfather. You are not your father. You are not your ancestors. You are you. And I would believe that people of the Drac have come a long way since the very beginning of your ancestry.
Wait a minute.
You don't have...
Isn't that kind of backwards, considering they always reincarnate? Aren't they technically their ancestors?
They reincarnate, but like, okay, and this is just going from my limited knowledge of Hinduism, but it's like, they reincarnate, but it's not like they remain the same person, so to speak.
Yeah, the purpose of reincarnation is to put forth the ability of growth. Like, the idea that if you have a second chance at life, you can be a different, usually a better person.
Usually.
So it might be like the same groundwork and blueprints. Like, you might like some of the same things, but that doesn't make you the same person all the time.
And also, just as a quick thing, there are people in Drac who are more in tune with their past lives than others, but that doesn't mean that they are the same people. It just means they're more spiritually aware. They're still their own personality.
Yeah.
Like, I guess the best example would be, like, take Avatar Aang and Avatar Korra. They're two completely different people.
But they're still both the Avatar.
Exactly.
And Korra was Aang once,
Exactly.
and Aang was Roku once, and so on and so forth.
Yeah. So it's kind of like that. But anyway, that's besides the point.
My point is, Pisacha, you can be your own person, and coppers can be their own people. That was just something that happened once. And I think accepting that you are not those same people that were in that same incident is kind of a way of accepting that you can move on from many things.
Well, it would be much easier if they just admitted they had fault.
Well, if maybe their way is to just kind of move on from what happened and just make their merriment, as it were. You're a good guy, Pisacha, but the blood... If you go about searching for blood to be quenched for all of the things that you did, all of the things that your grandfather did, and all of the things that those copper dignitaries did, you will drown in a sea of blood.
Unlike the bad future you saw.
Exactly.
And I know you're feeling pretty sorry for yourself right now, but I'm not about to let that happen to you. He'll kind of like put a hand on his thigh.
He'll allow it.
Hey.
You can be good. You can be so much more than that. And that is what I want for you. To be free of the trappings of ancestry and history, and be your own person. Be Pisacha, the man that loves fighting, the man that wants his own concubine. One of the biggest Dragonborn I've ever seen. Possibly one of the strongest.
He'll
biggest
raise a
dick.
finger. He will raise a finger and say, "I already have those. I am a prince."
Oh.
You know what I mean.
Such a fucks.
Yeah.
You heard
And
it
he is
live.
valid.
You heard it live. This man fucks.
If
Yeah.
I have anything to say about it, he's going to get fucked.
Hey.
Well, I guess there is one thing I'm glad of. I'm
Is it
glad
that you met
Urbo is
me?
okay.
Oh shit.
Well, of course I'm glad to have met you.
Thank you. It was going to be really sad for a second.
Because going.
But I'm also glad that Urbo is safe. She's the
course.
kobold we met in the vision.
Yes. She lives.
Maybe someday she'll come here. Not here in the middle of Makaya, but at the academy.
We can only hope.
Hmm.
Maybe you should write her a letter. I'm sure it would reach her.
You know what? I think I'll just do that.
Good boy.
Aw.
Good man. I'm not a boy, I'm a man.
That's exactly what he'll say. And a prince at that.
I think tonight I'll make you my good boy.
Okay, go on ahead.
Sorry.
But, I think that ended pretty well. I think we're good. So.
Traylon actually has a thought as he's
Yeah?
setting things up. It's like, wait a minute, how the fuck was my worst case scenario me becoming a homeless, homicidal old man?
You had a home.
I had a home, but I was in the middle of an abandoned village.
Yeah.
How did I not make a fucking nuke in the future? How did I not lay waste to Radiara as the worst case scenario?
I don't think that's the point, Traylon. Also,
Well-
hello, I am your thought. I'm right here.
I mean, we only got to see your house. We didn't get to see the rest of the world.
Honestly, I would have imagined his worst case scenario being him an actual supervillain. Like doomsday
Probably.
level of shit.
We just let him wallow in despair that all his inventions didn't work anymore. That was a part of it, remember?
Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah, like,
continue.
that was the main takeaway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, in that case, Crudez, do you want to have your discussion with the chiefess, I guess, before or after? Because that one's also, like, the one of the two things that I know how to do by heart right now.
Right.
I would just suggest before and just end it off with Neri waking up.
Okay.
I mean, that's just my thought. What do you want to do, Will?
Excuse me.
But yeah, I'm good with going to see Chidenma or her coming to see him, depending on if he's resting. Teehee.
Well, I'll say for this instance, Chidenma does seek you out in particular, but
Alright.
I guess just to set it up, what exactly were you doing?
Eating pancakes.
Yeah,
Making
right.
pancakes.
Making pancakes.
God.
She comes into Crudez doing that song with like a griddle.
God.
God, I've got the munchies, man.
Well, I mean, if she's coming to see Crudez out, I would say that after what just happened, Crudez would probably be like not asleep, but just like resting somewhere. Just like if they'll allow him to just kind of like lay out somewhere and just kind of relax after just like astrology and LB3 and all over the place.
Is he?
That sounds
Is he?
dirty out of context.
Yeah.
Is he PG-13 appropriate level of naked right now? Like he turns to her and there's like a shrub in the foreground in the room that's censoring his crotch.
He's got a loincloth on.
Says
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
I'll say the only people that have known that you are basically a lost moment watcher are the chiefess and her entourage, as well as just Radio, really. She's definitely going to tell the other followers of Kruda. But, for the most part, they tolerate you and let you lay out wherever. And I'll say, eventually, Chidenma does sort of seek you out. It's very easy to hear her coming, since her steps do sort of have a light rumble to them. Being a Loxodon and all.
I was gonna say, no wonder I keep wanting to call her Nidana.
That's very telling.
Yeah.
Endwalker.
Yeah. But anywho, go ahead, John.
So are you just, like, laying down on the ground or just, like, setting up against a wall?
I was thinking that if there was like an available bed somewhere, that he would just be laying down on that, or hammock.
First
Although
aid
I think
kit,
that's
probably.
more of a Crudes thing back at his home.
I'll say, for the sake of it, yeah, sure. So she does catch you, laying in a hammock and whatnot.
Nice.
She is silent at first because she doesn't want to disturb you. But eventually she will speak up and say, "So, I take it you're still considering."
Remind me again, what am I considering?
Whether or not you'll speak with her, because she was the one that offered, not you.
Yeah, that was more of an in-character thing, but yeah.
Yeah.
He just kind of, honestly, yeah. What happened earlier aside, I really kind of want to know more about Mom if you want to talk.
She'll just simply extend her really large hand to help you out of the hammock, and she'll simply say, "Then walk with me, child. I'll take you to the tallest spot."
Alright.
I will teach you about. Wait, never mind.
And at the tallest spot, you can see Traylon on the other ziggurat, like
Yeah.
messing with their weather vanes.
Specifically so as you, Curtis, as you walk with the chiefess, it becomes more and more apparent the more you get closer to this, like, massive ziggurat. You realize this is the one that you saw just in the distance from behind the front gates. Like, this is the tallest one.
I guess you could say I saw it close in the distance.
Almighty tallest. I mean,
Sorry, go ahead.
And as you climb these steps, which is about, I don't know, 10 or 12 stories, as you just sort of, like, sit around the top, you realize that the inside of the ziggurat at the top is intricately detailed and furnished inside. In fact, roll a... I guess insight?
8. God damn it.
You don't need much, but you get the impression that this is either some sort of government building or just a full-on palace. And she will just simply take a seat at the tallest step, just overlooking the entire Moment Watcher village.
And Crudes just kind of standing there awkwardly at the moment because he doesn't know whether he should like sit down beside her or you know what he what okay, but I will say that if nothing else, Crudes is gonna want to like admire the view from up there if you can. You said we're like on the outside right now, right? Or
yeah, you're just basically sitting on the tallest step. You haven't actually went inside.
Okay, cool.
She just pretty much wanted you to, like, see the whole village from up top.
Yeah.
She will take a long sigh and say, "You know, child, me and your mother were actually quite close.
Yeah.
Yes, we were. We were as thick as blood, although she was a goblin and I wasn't."
So, would it be inappropriate of me to call you Aunt Chidinma then, or?
She sort of lets out a chuckle as she, like, looks to the side. Perhaps. If you wish. I won't fight you on that.
I don't know. I thought it might be kind of a... How do I put it into words? Never mind. We'll come back to that later. Sorry, you were saying?
She'll say... So... I haven't seen her in decades. How's she been?
Cruda's just kind of,
Awkward.
yeah, awkward moment. So about that, I never really knew her all that well, aside from one thing that I feel really awkward talking about.
What do you mean?
So real quick, before Crudes drops this bomb on her,
Mm-hmm.
so was it actually, like, confirmed that, like, she, like, passed away in childbirth, or was it, like, sometime after?
A few hours after.
Yeah, a few hours after.
Ooh.
She
Oh.
got to see you. That's it, though.
Oh.
Sorry, bud.
So,
Continue.
let's just say that, I only maybe got to know her for about a few hours.
I will go ahead and roll something.
Okay. You didn't want to just, like, come out and say, oh yeah, this is what happened, or at least as far as I know.
No, this is her doing insight.
I figured, yeah.
Hey, Crudes, you want to know what spell Archdruids can learn?
Yeah, dude.
Greater Resurrection.
I know, I was thinking about that.
Oh
but,
yeah, but that's like long and long a ways.
Yeah,
She's been dead
also...
for decades. There's no
Al-
way.
Well, True Resurrection doesn't actually care
True
about time
resurrection,
as long as
yes,
it's, like,
but greater, no.
I don't think never mind. But yeah.
But anyway, she'll speak up and say, so she's not with us anymore, is she?
I'm sorry. And he just kind of, like, awkwardly, like, puts a hand on her shoulder to try to comfort her.
You basically have to stand up on your tippy toes to do it, even
Yeah.
though both of you are
Or-
sitting down.
Yeah, or on that note, maybe just, like, on her side or something.
Although I am chiefess of this tribe, I'm but one of many. We have many chiefesses here, but only one of us are the elected leader between us, so to speak. Both me and your mother, we ascended through the ranks together. She had an interest in I had an interest in administration, but she had an interest in just pure seer work.
She was a
I
maiden
ended up
lady.
Sorry, what?
I was the one who ended up being the leader of the chiefesses, and she was one of them alongside me. But then she got a vision one day,
Yeah.
and it compelled her to leave.
Oh.
I protested heavily, both out of our traditions. Why would anyone want to just go on out and be compelled to spread our knowledge? She went through the same trial as you did. She knows what happens when we just share our ancient knowledge off the tip of a hat. But I also didn't want her to leave, because I didn't know it myself, but I just had the feeling that I would never see her again afterwards.
Oh, I'm really sorry. Especially that I'm the one that had to break the news to you.
I guess I'm glad I just have someone to talk to.
Oh yeah, of course. Sorry, real quick, but in the back of his mind right now, Crudez is just thinking to himself, I wonder if they get mail out here.
Probably not.
Probably not regular
Probably
mail, but they
not.
have their ways.
Aw. Cause I was thinking Crudez is just in the back of his head just adding like Cutis Chidinma to his mailing list. Just like everyone that he's like writing letters to.
So,
Just stay in touch with you guys.
I'm
yeah.
actually surprised that she even married, much less had a child. But it's quite rare for a male to have our powers, so to speak. I'm sure you've seen it in town.
Yeah?
It's very rare for a man to be born with our aptitude. Which is why we are the ones in charge, so to speak.
Makes sense to me.
But that doesn't mean we just shun those who are men, who have our powers.
Man,
I
hope
know-
not. That'd be a terrible waste. Just in my opinion, anyway.
I know what the answer will be, but just humor me on this, child. Will you stay with me? I'll take you in. I'll teach you our ways, and you will never have a bad day in your life anymore. I will make sure of it. I will give you all of the wealth and the luxuries you could have possibly asked for, and, well, all the love.
He just kind of
Empty
looks
nest
a little-
syndrome.
Yeah. He just kind of looks a little like, not downtrodden, but what's the word I'm looking for? Like, I guess he's looking very kind of sad about that, and it's just, he doesn't want to break her heart yet again by saying no, but he knows he has to.
Lady, I'm a full-grown man. I'm not a child.
I'm a Loxodon. To most people, I could be their mother.
He'll just take a deep breath, sigh, and just, I don't think I can do that yet. There's just so many people out there that need me, need us, and it would be wrong to just abandon them yet, but would you be
You
alright if...
Go on.
Alright. He just continues and says, would you be alright if perhaps just... Man, how do I put this? Not yet, but perhaps sometime in the future. Would that be alright? I would love to stay in touch if that were possible at all.
That would be wonderful. She sort of fetches something out of her pocket, and you see this rather sort of medium-sized ball, almost like a crystal, almost. This used to belong to your mother. It was somewhat of a scrying device, so to speak. But it wasn't meant for... It was mainly meant to help her with her communion and her visions, but nothing else. If...
Crudas
Yeah.
just has like a brief like flash of recollection in his eyes and just kind of reaches for his own pendant and he just kind of holds it out as like he's kind of like connecting the dots, seeing if like maybe this was her star map, or rather the one that Chidima's holding in her hand right now was his mom's star map.
Roll an insight.
Alright. Insight. I have a +4 to this. Hey!
You probably get the impression that this is probably what her star map would have been.
Oh wow.
And she'll continue and say, This orb was specifically made for your mother. It doesn't really work that well with anybody else. However, if you have her blood in your veins, you won't be able to use it to its full potential, but perhaps you can talk with me with it. So essentially speaking, this is just a oversized sending stone just for Chidinma.
Nice.
It could potentially evolve into other things, but for the time being, yes, it's just this.
But you're... Oh, okay. He's just kind of holding this in his hand, just like both honored and like just has this feeling of like, oh god, I don't want to drop this.
Oh, it's so pretty. Oh shit!
No! No!
And it falls down 10 stories of stairs.
He bounces
No.
right back up because it's a really dense crystal.
No, it keeps it's falling down the stairs. Traylon makes a dive for it. Oh, I knew it! I knew there was a magic item here. I'll take it.
Give it to me.
Like a little gremlin just kind of scurries off to see if he can make an arrow out of it. Of its shards.
No. No.
Okay, anyways, but sorry.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, so deep.
I'll end it with one last thing. If you feel like entertaining this old woman with nostalgia, then
Of course.
feel free to contact me whenever. There's not really a process to do it, but I must tell you one thing. If you're serious about one day officially joining the Moen Watchers, I must make this clear. If you become one of us, you cannot leave. You've seen what we are. You see what we protect. I know it's not fair for you, and you have every right to refuse. But if you really wish to reintegrate yourselves with us, then you must make that decision. It's up to you. But regardless of what you pick, you can at least talk to me. And if you come back here, we won't put you through a trial again. You've already to be one of us.
This whole time, Crudas has just had a bit of a soft smile on his face while he's just been cradling this. He's obviously still been listening, but yeah. Yeah.
And she'll just reach in and give you kind of a bear hug because she's like more than 2 times your size. As she finally just sort of silently weeps.
He's just like, I would say patting her back, but at least for his size, probably like as close as he can get to her back.
Her
Just
forearm, maybe.
Yeah.
there.
The gesture is appreciated. And with that,
Don't worry,
unless
Aunt
you want to
Cinema,
do
this isn't
something,
goodbye.
What'd you say? Sorry.
Who?
You.
John said
Okay.
something over you.
Yeah, no, he's just patting Chidema's back and just saying, pretty much just reassuring her, don't worry, this isn't goodbye.
yeah, she's really just letting it all out, really. She's sort of like had this for so long.
Oh, and he just kind of whispers to her, like, when things have calmed down a little bit, it's just like, also, if at any point you're interested, I don't know if you have a way to contact the outside world, but, you know, there may be a certain someone I might... Well, this is very awkward for me, but what I'm trying to say is Gomez of Stonefisher is his name.
That's the one you call your father now.
Yes?
What are you suggesting?
I mean, I know you can't exactly leave, but, if... I don't know what I'm suggesting, actually, but I guess, like, if fate happened to, like, bring him your way and, you know, you happen to meet him, just... But...
Be nice to my
God
dad.
damn it, Jesse. Way to dox your dad like that.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
But yeah. But yeah, he's good people.
Even
I
if he's a little
didn't-
grumpy.
Yeah, I didn't really know. I obviously didn't know Mom for very long, but you know, he's good people. I can tell he took really good care of her. If that gives you any form of happiness.
Was he a fisherman by any chance?
Oh heck yeah.
She lets out a bit of a laugh as she says, that was part of her visions, actually.
Huh,
She didn't know
really?
who. She didn't know who, or where, or when, but she was always fated to marry a fisherman.
That's hilarious. Oh man. But yeah, so quick break in this, just to say that, like, this is obviously like an out of session thing if you just want to continue, but
Mhm.
Curtis is just gonna be like, you know, if you'd be all right with it, I wouldn't mind if you wanted to, like, talk about Mom some more. I mean, I didn't really get a chance to meet her, but I would love to hear more about
Oh,
her.
Kronos, yes, I would. If you
Yes,
don't know anything
please.
about her, then I have to.
Yes, please. Gush all about her. I want to hear everything. Well,
So,
within reason.
I'll say, for the few hours that you have until you are brought to Neria's house, so to speak, you do chat it up with the chiefess. I'll say at some point she actually does show you around inside the Ziggurat Palace,
Hey.
but we'll get into those details later.
Yep.
But for now, main event.
Yeah. World premiere.
Yeah. So she does eventually. Ridio gathers all of you guys back together,
How many
and
doilies have I made?
How many friendship bracelets have you made?
friendship bracelets,
Is it bread have you eaten?
Francesco. Yeah, but anyway,
Sorry.
so Ridio does eventually gather you all up together and escorts you to this. A lot of the houses are sort of like ziggurat design, but there are definitely like house-size ziggurats, so to speak. She brings you to one in particular, kind of sort of on the outskirts of the city limits. Like, it would be like where the wall that keep everyone out would be near. When she brings you inside, you can see a plethora of women sort of like dressed like her, sort of like using this as kind of a crash pad, but also as sort of like a place to discuss matters. And Rydia will say, this is the home base of these followers of Kruda, or at least for those still living in the Moment Watchers village. Most of us operate outside of the village. You can actually see several different men sort of like tending to the house, and because we know our audience, they're definitely lookers. They
Are they
they
in
definitely pick their, yeah?
Are they in French maid outfits?
Well, no, they're tribal
No.
men. But like you can definitely see like a lot of the women taking glances at them every now and then. It's very clear that they definitely handpicked their housekeepers well. But you do notice one of them is a woman. A youngish human woman, but they're not wearing tribal garb at all. Instead, they're wearing this black-colored, torn and tattered dress. It looks as if it looks as if they've been wearing the same outfit for months, while also running a marathon, climbing a mountain, all that sort of stuff.
Oh, well, looks like we found our dollar store goth.
Sure enough, you see the very just like tired, dead, totally over everything and just wants to get everything over with face of Alice Penderson. And she just, the first time she just takes a look at you, she doesn't like, her face doesn't really change or anything like that. She just looks so worn out and tired. She knows you're here for her, but
It's like she could not muster up the energy to give a fuck at the moment.
yeah. It hasn't really hit her yet that, oh my god, I can finally get out of here and be someone else's prisoner.
Please take me away.
Rydia will actually giggle at the sight and goes, this was actually part of her allowance to stay. Neria wrote everything ahead of time, all the instructions for her to follow. She basically offered to work menial labor in exchange for not having to do the trial. And, well, it's been quite a while since you would show up. Not exactly in the highest of spirits, but she knew what she was getting herself into.
Kinda wish we took a little bit longer if that's the case.
She just gives you a look and then goes back to doing whatever menial task she was doing. Don't worry about her. You'll get the chance to talk with her later if you wish, but right now, I know there's one person you're looking forward to most. Although I will say one thing. She'll explain the details, but she had to spend a lot of energy to pull that stunt back in Kashirin. When she wakes up, I guess, expect the worst. Not necessarily she'll fight you, but her awakening is not exactly going to be pleasant for her.
She's not a morning person.
She's not a morning person. God damn it.
Okay. Alright, so, in that case, I will go ahead and shift songs. The one time that I will, this session it feels like, to this.
Oh shit.
Oh, sheesh.
You scared Wyatt.
So,
I think I need a new mouse. It's not clicking whenever I try to get stuff.
well, that's fine. I'll go ahead and continue.
Yep.
So, Ridio escorts you to one particular room, which is definitely Neria's sort of bedroom. You can actually see in the middle of you coming in, there's about 2 of the housekeepers sort of like making her look presentable, so to speak. Like, you can see one sort of like muscular orc having, like, filing her Leonin nails, so to speak.
Yes.
But they do nod to you all and make their leave, and it is just you all alone in this room with Neria, as Ridia will say, "If you wish, I'll leave you alone with her. It's probably for the best that she's the first faces you see."
Alright, I guess let's wait for her to wake up.
So, I'll say, given 10 minutes, you watch as this tiger-striped Leonin woman, unconscious and unmoving in her bed, as at first nothing happens, and then you hear a very familiar sound. You hear the sort of ticking noises you heard when she first cast that time stop spell. But you are able to move. As you can see Neria, her chest sort of like begin to pulse. Almost as if like she's getting her heartbeat back in a way. And you can actually see her body begin to like writhe a little bit as it's trying to like force itself awake, until eventually you see her sort of like arch her head back up, open her eyes like wide, as you hear her just like let out this loud shuddering gasp, as for a brief moment she sort of just like lays there panicking, desperately gasping for air, just to pretty much make sure that she is alive, in a way. It's a little bit uncomfortable to watch, but eventually you see her sort of like lay her head back down. You can actually see like a few tiny traces of tears on the sides of her eyes, as she is just thankful that the spell did not kill her. As she eventually sort of like looks to the side and sees you all, as she lets out a sigh of relief, although it's very clear she's still catching her breath. You listened. Thank you. She like tries to weakly climb up to just sitting on the side of the bed. I apologize for having to bring you through the ringer like that. But I promise this was for a good reason. Just to bring you here. Don't mind me. I'll be okay. Just let me catch my breath a little bit, and then you can ask whatever you want.
Go ahead. We've got plenty of time, so.
Yeah. As far as we know, anyway.
Yeah, you watch her as she catches her breath, and by now, because you guys never really got the chance to see her for much, and Francesco, you've never even seen her to begin with.
Yeah.
But what you see before you, is this sort of like tiger-themed Leonin woman, dressed in similar garbs to Ridio, who has these sort of like mystical sort of symbols sort of like painted onto the sides of her neck. Maybe a bit of stripes, blue and goldish, sort of like painted around her eyes. She definitely comes across as one of the seers that they kept mentioning before. And by virtue of being a Leonin, she's about your size, actually, Francesco.
Could I have you autograph something?
Well, my visions didn't take account for you, but if they did, I would have had something written ahead of time.
Thank you. I like to make myself known when I want them to be.
I don't believe we've ever met, but then again, I could say the same for all of you.
Oh, well, the pleasure is most certainly ours. Stands a hand.
She does take your hand, but sort of like weakly, since she has just woken up for the first time in a few months.
So,
Now then.
spent basically a few months in a coma.
It is a side effect I gambled my life on. I had to make use of something out of my rank. I used a scroll. It is intended for those who are of Chiefess Chidinma's disposition, the most powerful of all seers, and I'm not one of them. So, if I was going to cast a spell out of my league, I had to put my life force into it. I could have died, but I had to gamble on my visions being correct. And here I am. Thank Kronos I'm awake.
God damn it, Jesse.
Well, good for you, madam. You've missed out on a lot in the world, so be ready to be excited. It's quite a experience.
So,
Yes, but
while y'all are doing that, I'm just gonna roll a slight insight. Well, would I roll insight for that?
for
Oh yeah, I
what?
guess I would. Crudez is basically trying to put two and two together. That means that like his mom could have basically done that shit too.
I'll say
like-
without having to roll.
Okay.
It's possible.
Because he did say, like, she did say, excuse me, someone of, like, Chiefess Chidinma's, like, rank, was it?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, and, well, Crudez's mom was kind of a big deal around here, so I feel like, yeah, he'd at least get the feeling that that would be possible for her, too, and he's just having a little moment of, like, wow. My mom could stop time.
It is possible.
It was possible.
Yeah. Well,
So,
he's gonna believe it was possible for now. So, yeah,
So-
let's continue.
for the sake of this, whatever questions you would have for her, go ahead.
You think she ever used time stop on Cortez's dad?
Why?
No reason.
See if he
Right.
see if he can nut within less than a second.
Oh my god, you guys!
See, I wasn't gonna verbalize it.
Anyway, Traylon will make the most direct approach. Alright, so, you mind explaining to us why the hell you had to steal Allison Penderson, and if by some chance we did capture her before the time was right, the world would have gone to the worst case scenario? What was that all about?
Well, you got it right on the money there. But I'll explain. I'm sure the chiefess has explained to some of you. In fact, looking towards... Well, no, she wouldn't know. But essentially speaking, as seers, our job is to look towards the past, to make judgments on the present, but sometimes the future comes to us when we least expect it.
Well, that's half the fun of it, I would imagine.
Yes, but there's a problem with that. As Moment Watchers, it's much easier to look into the past than it is to see the future. Only the strongest of seers can look into the future and be able to make a good amount of sense into it. As for the rest of us, we have to make our own interpretations and make the best guesses.
Oh, it's not that big of a trouble. I mean, maybe you could get yourself a cat. They're quite diligent.
Wow.
Dude.
Right, Mountaintop?
Meanwhile, she's a tiger.
Oh, fuck.
Francesco, I don't need to remind you that many predatory cats like to eat fish, especially very silly ones that don't know how to stop talking.
Really? I didn't know you spoke fish.
You see her idly lick her lips a little bit.
Oh, you look like you need a glass of water.
I think she has just the thing nearby that will whet her appetite.
Anyway.
Anyway, she'll go on and say, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I wasn't actually able to get a good glimpse into the future. But what I was able to glimpse is that certain people in the world, if they were compromised in any way, they would bring about a chain of cataclysmic events. I didn't know any of these people, but they all looked pretty normal to me. But I recognized Alice as one of them. And, well, we have scrying pools. I heard about what she was doing. How she had this whole underground business in Perone. How her university boyfriend was roped into it and tried to establish a link on the Academy Island.
I'm sorry. Please continue.
You can just hear Alice in the background going, "Yes, he was my boyfriend." No one's gonna get that fucking reference.
I'm at liberty to say this. I knew her personally. I went to the same school after all.
Yeah, so again, that's gonna be my next question. What the fuck was that all about? The freaking people trafficking. I want to say human trafficking, but there's more than humans involved in this.
I don't know the details. You'll have to ask her about that. But I knew that she was doing something shady. But then again, most people in Perone do that.
Okay.
As for Alice herself, I know it's hard to believe, considering what she's done to the Academy. But I can at least tell you she has a good heart. Take it however you will, but I know from experience.
But, like, why the Academy, though?
That, I don't know myself. All I know is that it happened. But that's besides the point. The point is, my vision, or at least the best I could make, was that if any of these people, including Alice, were compromised in any way, a chain of events would unfold, and whatever is out there would be unstoppable as a result.
Alright then.
As for what I saw, that one's also hazy, but I do have an idea of what I felt.
Was it fear?
Well, I was certainly afraid. But no, it was something sick, something wrong. It felt as though the whole world was accepting of what's coming to our world, welcoming it with open arms, welcoming it, and I don't know how to put this, but I almost want to say giving up on their lives and themselves in favor of what was coming. It was so strange and wrong. I know this isn't much to go off of. It's just a vision, I know, but I could not let whatever I saw come to pass. And if it meant having to have Alice escape judgment for just a little while longer, at least until I can explain to you this, then I had to bet my life on it.
Alright then. We'll have to ask Alice about her own bullshit later. I think the next
Yes.
question we need to address are who are the other people that we need to secure.
Well, that's just the thing. And she sort of like sighs. Some of them I haven't seen before, but I recognize some of your faces too. I saw you, and you, and you, as she points to Traylon, Nimbus, and Crudez.
Oh.
And there was some kind of Knoll, too, but I didn't see him.
Oh.
Nimbus is sad now.
Oh.
The rest, I don't know. But if I had to guess, they could very well be too unimportant in the grand scheme of things to even be considered. But all I knew was that Alice was one of them, and that she was in grave danger. It was her fault, but she was in grave danger. So I had to step in.
It sounds like she's getting what she's coming to her.
About that. And she sort of like speaks up. I won't stop you from punishing her for what she did. But I need to emphasize this. You cannot kill her. You cannot give her that sort of punishment because I feel as though the world needs her. I don't know why, but it does. So, do what you will, but do not kill her.
Well, technically, no one was hurt during her. Well, no one died during her
No
attack.
grievous injuries either.
People were hurt, but they'll live.
I think at the very least the people that were attacked deserve some answers as to why there was suddenly an army of the undead at the school.
She actually
Wait,
sort
what?
of like raises an eyebrow at that and goes, "Oh, so that's what that was all about."
Yes.
Hmm.
She summoned an army of the undead at the school to try and save her acquaintance. Good man, as you know, she tried to free him after we caught him basically hypnotizing people and trying to sell them, and then they were like, then we caught him and said, no, that's a bad, stop that. And then she came with the undead.
I mean, to be
Forgive me
fair,
for my paraphrasing, I'm very tired.
I mean, to be fair, Aloy did kind of chop his foot off. So,
Oh yeah.
It wasn't exactly
Oh
being
wait,
well.
wait. That wasn't just me tripping balls.
no.
he
Sorry, I'm
did
getting sidetracked.
that. There was
Shit.
a lot of blood.
She
Shit.
actually
Anyway.
raises an eyebrow and then, huh, that's interesting. I would have never taken it that she would be the one to rope him into things. He was the one always trying to win her affection.
That's pretty gay.
As
As far as
Actually,
strange
great if you
relationships go.
Yeah, hey!
Hmm. Sounds like a real cross love story.
You're not going to like how that one ends.
Is it that she becomes a zombie?
I'll tell you later.
I mean, she's a necromancer, so maybe.
Hmm.
She always had a talent for it. Or rather, she discovered she had a talent for it when we went to school together. But I never took her for one to work in seedy businesses, but I guess the more I think about it, she always did want to do everything for her grandmother.
They have a very
Um,
complicated relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the way of necromancers. You can't trust them. They'll do anything and say anything to, well, for the sake of making immortality a thing.
You have very strong
Yeah.
opinions about things for somebody that has not left their home.
Well, I listen to the news.
Do you know healing is necromancy, Francesco?
What? No, you're not dead when you're healing people.
Necromancy is the control over life, which can be wielded competently and for good purposes. However, never mind. You know what?
Well,
I'll
Neria
get off
will
my
actually speak up and say, he actually has a point. I learned about that sort of magical argument in school.
I'll get off my soapbox.
Anyway,
In before Crudez is like, actually.
Yeah.
But
Because,
yeah,
you know, the druid over here being called the necromancer.
actually, Professor Sekviz told me that, and then just go on about that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Exactly, evocation magic.
that's besides the point. You've gotten the main answers, but if you have anything else to ask of me, then I've kept you waiting long enough.
alright. We know that there are certain people who need to be in part of this grand mission of ours. We don't know who exactly is we're facing still, but we know that they have the ability to fuck with people's perception of themselves. Basically make their invasion a willing transaction.
About that, it didn't feel like, or at least in my vision, it didn't feel as though there was any sort of magical tampering or anything. It felt like these people were welcoming the unknown with open arms. That was what the disturbing part was. That they knew something terrible was coming, and they were happy about it.
Could it be that we're dealing with a demon in an angel sheet situation?
That's the thing.
I can't say. I have no idea. All I know is that something is coming, and it's like a damn sickness.
Actually, so remind me, this vision of yours, You don't have to go into specifics about how you went about it, but the nature of the vision you had, is that something that any chiefess in this village could, I want to say, easily do, but of course, nothing ever comes that easy. You get the gist of what I'm trying to get at.
If you're asking if they can see what I saw, the answer is, well,
Maybe.
yes and no. Like I said before, it's very easy to see into the past, but for us, the future comes to us. You can attempt to see into the future, but the things you could see are not the things that I saw.
'Cause I was thinking, since I did just kind of find out my mom was actually kind of a pretty big deal here, I might have gotten some of her powers. Just
And
Not
whose
anything
mother would
that-
that be?
say again.
And whose mother would that be?
Cruda. I almost
You
said
see her
Stone.
eyes immediately widen.
What?
Yeah, like
Well, I had no idea.
yeah, I even have her star map right here, and he just kind of takes it out and just shows it to her. That's fair.
She lets out kind of like a cough as her heart sort of like races like, oh my god, this is her son. But then you realize, oh crap, I've been maybe malnourished and dehydrated. He goes, well, it's been an honor to see you then. But regardless, I've said my piece. You may take Alice, and if you feel it is appropriate, you can take me as well. I'm sure I've probably broken some world rules thanks to the treaty the Academy made with the whole world. I tampered with your business, after all.
I
Could
mean,
Traylon roll... Actually, you know what? Do I still have it? Yes.
Yeah.
I'm going to use my training for this.
For which one?
From my divination training, I guess. I need to roll a d20, and I need to know what would be our best course of action. If I'm trying to think critical and figure out the next
All right,
course of action,
go ahead and
flat
roll a d20.
All right, so this is at the DM's discretion.
The closer you get to 20, the more concrete of an idea that you can make out of them.
Come on, roll 20. Don't fuck me. 9.
Okay, 9. Well, at the very least, for sure, Traylon, you definitely no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You have to take Alice, for sure. You get the impression that what Neria said at the end was kind of a leading statement about how, you know, if you guys feel it in your discretion that you should probably take her too, since she interfered with your business. Even not as a 10, you get the impression that that's sort of like a leading statement. As in, like, she wants to be taken.
Oh.
As for whether that's a good idea or not, that's up to you.
She is kind of
I mean-
a key evidence as all. Plus, more than likely, she might have more to offer down the line if we have her close by. And traveling across the fucking world to go see her sounds like a bitch and a half. So let's.
I mean, and Crudez just kind of holds out the star map again, and it's like, Chidima, if you're not busy right now, could you maybe poke your head in for like 2 seconds? We're over at, and then he tells her where, because I kind of blanked out.
So about that,
Okay.
I didn't really make this clear, but it's like, yes, it is like a way to message Chidinma, but
It's
the way
delayed.
that it, Not so much
Right.
delayed, so much as it's like you would have to go into sort of like
Ah.
a spiritual trance in the level of which you had your dream, sort of. Like, you would basically have to go into, like, a spiritual dreamscape in order to talk with her, because you were essentially using the cosmos as an internet connection. So it's
Right.
not like something that you can just be like, hey, testing 1, 2, 3.
It's
Right.
not a
I
sending
will-
stone, essentially.
I will say though that just for flavor, Fritos will try it that way anyway, but then be like, "Oh crap, right, it doesn't work that way." But
She'll-
anyway, point
Maria will
is,
also have her eyes wide and he goes, oh my, oh Kronos, where did you get that?
she didn't entrusted it to me.
You actually see her begin to laugh and cough because, again, she's dehydrated. And he goes,
I mean,
you have no idea how stubborn she is most of the time.
Really?
The fact that she just gave that to you, that's kind of a...
I mean, and he just kind of takes out his own star map. Just in addition to that, it's just floating in his hand. And I mean, if you need any other further proof, he just casually goes starry in front of her.
Clap
I
on.
mean, we passed the test with flying colors. Didn't really like what we saw, but it's kind of making sense now.
Yeah.
I think having to go through all this for one girl is pretty egregious, actually.
I had a
Yeah.
feeling she would make you go through the trial. She only tolerates us because Kruda meant a lot to her. But
Yeah.
her patience has limits. But that still, the fact that you were able to get that, that's quite a lot. But in any case, you as members of the Academy, the floor is yours. Do whatever we wish. I will willingly submit myself to custody if
Well,
if you wish.
Well, then I suppose I'll go get a cart for us to haul you over.
I mean,
There won't be any need. I will go with you willingly.
Well, yes, but I mean, you seem like you still need some bed rest, and, maybe we could put a mattress in the cart.
I mean, imagine we're not going to be leaving right this second. Sorry, say again, John?
She says, "Oh, well, aren't you sweet?" And she sort of just like has a bit of a giggle when looking at you. Roll a insight check, Traylon, or not Traylon, Francesco.
Inside.
Natural 1. She thinks you're really funny.
Well, aren't you just the swellest gal around town?
she gets
I do
snapped
my
like a
best.
twig, and you should be ever grateful that she doesn't.
No.
Can I roll insight to see
Yeah,
if
sure, go
at
ahead.
the very least? Yeah, okay.
Oh,
Come on. I need to know.
Alright,
6.
6.
That's natural 20 on the other side, though.
I'll be nice.
No.
I'll be...
damn it!
Yeah. Do you want in, Traylon?
I mean, Traylon probably has the worst insight of them all, but
We might as well.
Yeah, at this point, let's
17.
go.
Alright.
You did the best out of any of us.
Okay, so, Traylon. You get the impression she likes him.
Aww.
Ain't that sweet?
Well,
He's too dummy thick-headed.
yeah.
Eh.
Now, if you excuse me, I need a drink.
Mm-hmm.
Don't worry about Alice. As part of her payment to stay, we basically burned her spellbook. Or at least
Oh no.
or at the very least, that's what I told her to wager in case they were hesitant.
Oh.
And if I managed to get inside, then yeah, they would have burned it.
Oh.
That note I gave her back in Hyatt's Manor, I basically laid out every single thing she had to do in order to allow herself entry without having to do the trial.
Hmm.
I had to write everything down. But
You planned everything so this place would be sanctuary for her. I have to say, I admire your commitment.
Mhm.
whatever it takes to avoid whatever I saw. Alright.
All right,
Um,
you drink up.
Yeah. And she'll go ahead and head out of the room. So, do you want to go to Alice herself, or do you just want to invite her into the room? Like, how do you bring her into the fold?
I mean, bring her over here. I mean, she probably doesn't want to keep doing, main
Yeah.
work. So, like, turn a little, cup his face and say, "Oi, Alice, get your ass in here."
She
That is one rude dude.
she still looks fucking dead after everything that happened. But she does come in without a hassle at all, and she basically takes a seat at where Neria was sleeping all this time. And she'll just sit down, sort of like fold her arms and have one leg sitting on top of the other. And she'll go, "Well, you got me. Get your gloating out of the way."
Get your what out of the way? Oh,
Gloating.
gloating. Okay, sorry.
Plus,
Madam,
we've had to
there's
hunt
no-
you down for months. There's no gloating. This is a bittersweet victory at best.
Ooh.
You attacked the school with an army of undead and injured very many people and very well could have killed someone. This is not a game for us to gloat at.
She will uncross her arms and just... She's looked completely dead, but Nimbus, you have a feeling that the words that you just said just started a fire.
Oh boy.
And she'll say, let me make something straight.
Good luck
What
with
I
that.
d-
Oh, God damn it!
All this ominous music, and that's when we get everyone's dick jokes out of the way.
Sorry.
Uh,
Sorry.
let me make this straight to you. What I did out of love, yes, but I also did because I thought a deal was broken.
All right.
Could you
Explain.
elaborate?
Absolutely. I pitched in a favor with your headmaster. I don't know if you know this already, but he was... Me and Leopold had a club back when we went to school in Cicello. He was sort of the person overseeing our club.
I knew that bitch was sus.
God damn it.
I pitched in a favor with him to basically set up shop. We were allowed to do our research there however we wished. Pretty much the only thing that we were told was, as long as we don't interfere with the Academy, we would be allowed to do it whatever we wish. And then Leopold went silent, and nobody was talking to me. You mind telling me what the hell that was all about before I say anything else?
Well, your boyfriend was in the middle of a human trafficking scandal.
She sort of raises an eyebrow at that.
We got sent to the town on the south of the island, or
North.
whichever direction it's in.
Never
Yeah.
seen
We
us
got
north,
sent
but yet.
to a towth norn of the island.
Are you trying to say?
No. What would give you that idea? Look, we got sent on the job because your boyfriend was sending brainwashed Sahagin to kidnap people, and it was giving a lot of people undue unrest. So we went in, we found out he was abducting people, we took him and put him in jail because that's a no-no, and then that happened. We're 4 people, obviously not Carol. So whatever agreement you had with him, we didn't know about.
You see her pause for a very, very long moment as she suddenly starts connecting the dots, and she starts to look kind of horrified as she says, "Are you fucking serious?"
Could not be more if I tried.
You see her bring her hands to her face and sort of just like kind of violently pull at her own pigtails and frustration as she just says, "Oh my god, that idiot! Ugh. All I told him was to just stop whatever was interfering with my settlement down there. I didn't say anything about kidnapping people. Why would he? What would give him the impression that I would want him to kidnap people?"
Well, I mean, I guess that explains why they were taking down the fucking towers. The villages on the north side have the whole radiarum, the spotlight thing.
Spire.
The spire.
Oh
yes.
my god, no fucking wonder! Oh my god. You can see her sort of like being like exasperatedly like frustrated because she well, she'll say it herself. This whole fucking time, I thought the headmaster went rogue and just imprisoned him because nobody said anything to me. I didn't know he actually did anything wrong.
This is why it's important to communicate with your partners, kids.
You're... And she just covers her face and she says, "So you're saying this whole fucking thing was for fucking nothing, right?
Pretty
I just
much.
basically attacked the academy for fucking nothing?"
I mean, Treeland's like,
I would say over a misunderstanding, but yes.
Yeah, pretty much nothing.
just to clarify, I want to make sure that she's not trying to bullshit her way out of this.
With that insight, you don't get the impression she's lying. This whole time. With that 17, you don't think she's lying.
I'll roll insight as well.
No.
You
No,
don't. You don't think she's lying. Francesco, you want in on it?
Why would he think she would be? And suspect any other thing than what she says at face value?
Well, I mean, like, would you like to roll anyway? I mean,
Nah, he's good.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, Alice will continue to say, this whole time, I thought you had just killed my boyfriend in cold blood, but
Of course not. Do you think we're fucking maniacs?
for a while I thought you were.
That is fair. Knowing
Alright,
what you knew.
There's still one last thing we don't fully understand, though.
What?
Leopold was manic when he escaped. We were there when he was losing his shit, and he almost killed you in the process.
I was there. I saw it myself.
Yeah,
And I was going to ask you, what did you do to him?
from what we...
But clearly, you're not the people I should be asking.
Yeah. Carol personally told us that no one made contact with them. They tried questioning him, but he remained silent the entire time. I personally
Also, Go ahead.
suspect that there is perhaps something to do with his patron. But
Also, For your record, we didn't do anything to him. He freaked out, he transformed, and before we could even attempt to subdue him or heal him, the sewer collapsed on us. For the record.
You don't think I don't know that? He
Sounds
tried
like
to
you do.
kill me. Of course I know. Which is why I thought I knew about everything that happened, but clearly I don't. So you know what? Fine. Take me over there. I can't do much of anything anyway. Imprison me all you want, but I want my answers.
Don't get mad at us. We're apparently not the ones that need to give them.
Then fine. If you're going to question him, then then I want in too.
If you're
wouldn't-
lucky.
Fine. Beggars can't be choosers, I guess. But one last thing. Is Grandma okay?
She's still
Last we
kicking.
left-
We stole
Last we left her, yeah.
We stole a massive, expensive pearl for her, and I think she's gonna be fine for a while.
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
For
I
information.
was already giving her money. What do you mean, information?
Oh, well, we needed information on where the hell you were. We had to go to her.
Oh boy.
She just shakes her head and sighs and just goes, I keep thinking one day she'll get over it, but every day she just keeps proving me wrong. But she's still my grandma. Whatever. I'll just say that she got one over me and leave it at that.
You have a very weird relationship with your grandma.
I think her grandma is just very weird.
Yeah.
No, she's just jaded. Whenever her husband died, right around that time is when I got the invitation to go to school in Cicello. And I had to make the choice to go pursue my education so that I could provide for her. But she took it the wrong way and saw it as a betrayal. But I went for her, and when I came back, she completely disowned me.
That sounds
But
about right.
I never thought she would go as so far as to just mastermind my demise, too.
I mean, I kind of get the feeling that she knew that you could handle yourself. I mean, she only provided us with a lead. And even
I would
so,
also
that
like
was-
to remind you, during that mission, when you got her the pearl, the reason she had you steal it was that so she could be financially well off in the event that you just fucking kill her or imprison her forever. She was pretty cold about it,
Yeah, she's
but
just
also
so-
kind of opportunistic.
Guess the apple didn't fall far from the tree, I guess.
Something like that.
Well, if she's okay, then fine. As long as she's in peace.
Yeah, she's
Well,
fine.
when do we start going then?
Well, probably as soon as she's ready to move.
So you're taking Neria with you?
I mean, she is an accessory to your escape, so... Plus, I'm not coming all the way out here in the middle of buttfuck nowhere to come ask her more questions.
I mean, again, we still have this thing, and albeit it's kind of slow, but, you know.
You just hear dial-up noise playing, like, going off every time you hold it up.
Hey, don't talk that way about my mom's star map.
She has no connection to the Mum Watchers, so she's like, "Oh, cool, a crystal orb."
Well, he wasn't. Well, he wasn't showing it to her. He was more just like reminding Traylon. I mean, we do technically have a way to communicate with the Moment Watchers here, but you know, it's kind of slow. We'd have to ask Chidinma everything that we want to ask Neria, and she'd have to relay it back, vice versa. Yeah, it's
In other words, it's just stupid to play that game of telephone when we can just bring her along.
yeah, sadly.
But yeah, she just says, "All right. At least I won't be worked to the bone over there. They'll just cage me like an animal and be done with it."
Yeah,
She
pretty
just
much.
sort of like silently looks towards the ground and just muddles with the realization that she had basically risked herself for nothing.
I mean, we
So-
still need to figure out what the hell was up with Leopold. There is clearly some sort of influence.
My bad. My
Well-
radiant smite went off.
Now that I know that this is all Leopold's fault, I guess I can tell you about him.
Alright, so, yeah. So you knew nothing about the whole... Like, where the hell was he even shipping them off to?
Well, what was supposed to happen is... So yes, Sahagins were supposed to be involved from the beginning. Pretty much our marketing scheme, so to speak. Back in Perone, I specialized in providing manpower for seedy organizations in Perone. That manpower, of course, being well-kept corpses. They can't obviously say no if they're dead. On the flip side, Leopold, on the Academy Island, would basically construct a port in secret. We would ship supplies back and forth to, well, sell goods and whatnot. He was supposed to be, or at least I thought he was supposed to be, trying to, well...
Send over the unmarked gravestones that were all over the island.
In a way, it's actually quite surprising to see how many corpses are buried underneath the island, but that's kind of what happens when you're formerly Radiara territory and you just have crypts aplenty. To save myself trouble, he was supposed to deliver some of these corpses back home. And hopefully, I would send corpses back over there that are already animated to assist with both of our productions. But whatever it is over there, the Spire, as you call it. I don't know about Radiarn bullshit, but I don't care to know. Whatever it was turning the corpses off, so to speak. And, well, it's kind of awkward to hide bodies. So, I basically had to tell him to look into turning it off. What I didn't know is that apparently, I guess, if what you say is true, Leopold tried to do his own thing. And what exactly did he do? You said he hypnotized people?
Aye. He had a whole cave set up with these laced all over the place as he holds up one of the hypnogems.
You still have that?
Yes, of course I do. I'm a massive hoarder.
You are.
Anyway,
What the heck?
he was using these to basically hypnotize a group of people or anyone who would come near his encampment. And he was shipping them off, basically, like, by the boatload. We don't know how many people were shipped off, but by the time we got there, he had an entire...
She looks at this, you see this, and she goes, "He didn't ship people off. If he did, I would have known about it because we weren't shipping alive people. We were shipping back supplies and corpses.
Well,
If
that's
any alive people were there, something would be off.
well. As much as I would like to trust you, that is what he told us. So one of you needs to get your facts straight.
Did I... Oh, fuck.
I'm gonna be real upset at myself if I just made that up in my head. Am I schizophrenic?
Well,
No.
either way...
No.
Well, either way, I'll just say it... Well, I'll have a way to go through that. But yeah, go ahead. Just let me know when you're ready.
I'm good.
So he said he was shipping people off?
Well, I mean, he was very clearly had a boat and everything ready for it.
That might have just been for his getaway, though. That did happen a long-ass time ago.
Well, he could have been just trying to cover both of our asses and say they were shipping people, not necessarily dead people.
That sounds about right. He liked you a lot.
I
I
mean,
can't
no,
believe
it-
he would do this.
I mean,
It's not
honestly,
very tactful.
how much more in trouble would he get in for shipping off corpses instead of actual people? I kind of feel like the value is a little messed up.
Yeah.
I guess it
Well-
really depends on who you're asking at the end of the day.
I'd say human trafficking has a bigger penalty than just shipping dead bodies.
Yeah.
I mean, would Radiata see it that way?
Well, Radiara doesn't own the Academy Island anymore. But as for, well, everybody else, I don't know if they would penalize him so much as they would get suspicious. I mean, who ships dead corpses except
You.
my business? Except me, anyway. Exactly. So, if anything, it wouldn't penalize us so much as just leave a trail that could find me, and obviously I did not want that to happen. That means the business is busted, and that also means no money goes to Grandma.
Well, so as to say, your business is already up in shambles. We have...
That's true.
Well, I mean, as part of this whole situation is apart, I kind of feel like it's kind of ending weird. We still don't know what was up with Leopold entirely, so...
About that. Well, which was what I was trying to get to, like, 15 minutes ago. Leopold, I don't know if your headmaster told you about him. Leopold is a rich kid, so to speak. His father runs a seafood business in Cicello. Basically, a chain of fisheries to harvest and then sell seafood.
Oh,
Turns out all the good fortune comes from a deal with some entity they made. Problem is, Leopold wasn't exactly as talented as the rest of his family, so to speak. And, well, otherwise, he wouldn't have gone to school, so to speak. And even then, he still wasn't exactly competent as the rest of his family.
Leopold owned Long John Silver?
Oh
Yes.
my god, Gray.
I think it's more
No,
like Red
Gray.
Lobster or something like that. But
You don't understand. He didn't just own John Long Silver's. He owned John's Long Silver.
God.
Boo!
You don't get to boo me after that joke. Fuck off.
But I only learned that after we got together. He was really trying his hardest, and eventually I guess I felt pity on him and then went on a date, and turned out he was a pretty fun guy.
Was it mushrooms?
If anything, I'm shocked that he was the one that went into the business for himself. I was the one that kind of roped him in all this. But I didn't imagine that he would try to have a power trip, so to speak. I never told him to control people, but if he did, then I don't know. Maybe he just wanted to feel like he had power for once.
You certainly couldn't blame him with people like Radiara. Governing bodies, I should say.
Well, regardless, we're not going to get any real answers for now.
That I can agree. So let's get this show on the road and get me out of here.
Alright, princess.
One last thing. I know beggars can't be choosers, but... And she just looks down at her clothes. Can anyone spare a presto?
Trillin snaps a finger.
You all watch as, like, from the bottom to the top, you see sort of like her dress sort of like remake itself into that gothic Lolita look that you remember her seeing.
Holy shit.
It also restores her makeup. And you can see her sort of like let out like, ah, yes, finally. Now I actually feel like myself. Alice will not forget this. And with that, now that you've sort of got your answers and an ominous sort of like warning for the future, you finally have Alice Penderson in your custody.
Hey.
After so long for this manhunt, you finally have her. And that's where we're gonna end it.
Hey.
Na 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 na.
So, I don't...
Meanwhile,
yeah.
friends and they're like, yes. Wait, what?
So, is this what justice feels like? Because it feels a little not as grand of a battle and defeat.
Don't worry your pretty little head about the Don Quixote.
You still have a trip home to go through.
Yeah. Next week, assuming we have D&D this week, is the trip back home. And most likely it'll probably be the last session that I will actually write before we get back home. And then Jesse gets the reins back.
Use your big writing brains. I believe in the both of you.
Yeah, I'm so ready for that.
Yeah. Doing D&D weekly by yourself can be pretty taxing.
Hugs, Gray. You're good.
Yeah, I'm joining in on that fucking hug.
Yeah.
Hug.
Man, hugs are gay though.
Yeah.
Good.
What's
Yeah,
a
but
proper
there's
buy
nothing-
thing that you can do?
What?
Like, what do you do if you're
Oh.
bi?
One hand grabs a boob, the other grabs a dick.
We do a two-finger salute because we swing two ways. I don't know.
So, real quick here, just because I'm assuming we stopped recording.
Not
Well, if not,
Yeah.
we'll be soon. But
Wait. I figured it out. He hugs
Okay.
from behind because everyone is pretty much the same back there.
It's
Everyone's
the
got a
Christian. It's the Christian side hug
oh my god,
because you're halfway in and you're halfway not.
god.
Nice.
So, Plague says finger guns. Buy people like finger guns.
It's true.
Nice.
So, real quick, just the thing I wanted to bring up. but I mean, we can probably add this in the recording. I don't know.
Still recording.
Yeah, I mean, so it's no secret that like amongst the group we've all been like, again, this is not a knock. I would like to preface this. I just thought it was kind of funny how a lot of shit seems to be lining up, and it's hilarious. But now we have another thing to add to the list of things to compare Crudes to Steven Universe.
God damn it.
Because he just got his mom's giant rock.
And he
Maybe
also
don't word
killed
that
And
his
he's
mom.
been meeting quite a lot of giant women lately.
Yeah. Oh my
And he
god, that
also-
one too. I hadn't thought of that.
Good
And he-
God.
For him,
Yeah.
the song just stops at, all I wanna do is see you.
See you,
Aw.
giant
Yeah.
woman.
I miss you. Giant woman.
Aww.
Aw.
All I wanna be is a cop who gets to see.
Giant
I'm done.
God.
Also, he killed his mom by being born.
Oh, wow, that's...
Oh, motherfucker, you're right.
No,
Like-
that was not him killing his mother. That was poor circumstances
He
of
ga-
birth.
She, from what I understand at least, effectively gave her life so that Crudes could be born.
Oh.
What that necessarily means, we don't know. If it's literally just like death by childbirth or complications, or if there's literally some like spiritual hocus pocus going on there that the DMs have been kind of hush hush about, we don't know.
You know,
Or
Yeah,
maybe
he
she
didn't
just had a
actually know.
hernia at a very bad moment.
Quiet.
You keep trying to ruin the mood.
Oh,
like,
sorry.
like seriously though, there's like so many different things we can add onto the list. Star motif. Just I had a fucking list. And that one was not on it. Let's see.
Well, anyway, I'm gonna stop the recording here,
anyway.
so...
Yeah.
Fair
Bye,
enough.
YouTube.
Goodbye, YouTube.
Until
Oh.
next time, dear adventurers. Stay
I'm going
frosty.
to sleep.